In this section, we're going to learn how creativity is a dynamic interplay of routine and novelty. We're going to learn how to use the creative cycle to make your work on your maps more creative and innovative. Now let's focus on the creative overview page. Please take out, read through, and resume when finished. Creativity is a skill that can be learned and improved. The journey toward well-being requires you to break free from automatic habits and routines that determine your health and happiness. Each stage of the MindWrap creative cycle engages in different cognitive skills or thinking strategies. Creative thinking is not a single cognitive skill, but rather a sequence of different types of thinking skills that include setting goals, generating ideas, selecting and implementing the best ideas, testing and revising strategies and tactics, and then initiating a new cycle of exploration. To successfully negotiate the creative process, you need to learn which cognitive thinking skills to engage in for each stage. Further, you need to learn to disengage from one thinking strategy and transition to a different one as you progress from stage to stage. The next thing we're going to talk about are the phases of the creative cycle. The first phase, future memory, has two stages. The initiation stage. This is where you simulate visions of a different future and are motivated to achieve that future. You imagine the sequence of events that will get you from where you are now to where you want to be. The second stage is the saturation stage. You gather as much pertinent information about your current status and about the domains in which you will be operating. Phase 2, idea generation and selection. The first stage, the manipulation stage, you consciously play with ideas, symbols, objects in order to generate as many ideas as possible. The incubation stage, you prime your brain to focus on the problem that motivates you, and then think about something else. Give your unconscious mind time and space to work and figure other ideas out. The illumination stage is when insight may emerge from unconscious manipulation or from your unconscious mind. Record your insight, pause, and consider whether it is worth pursuing. Our third phase is implementation. The first stage is manifestation. Make your selected insight manifest. Flesh out the initial insight. Create a first draft to figure out how you will make it real. Second stage is the implementation stage. Do it, build it, paint it, dance it, write it, whatever it is. Figure out the routine that will make this idea work and allow you to test multiple versions. Phase 4 is evaluation. The first stage is verification stage. Each implementation is a kind of hypothesis that you test. What did you learn from the failure and the successes? Alteration stage. This is the stage that initiates a new creative cycle. Creativity is an ongoing process of improvement and adaptation. As you're working through these phases, you may go from one phase to the next, and find yourself moving backwards, one or two, and then ahead again, another one or two. This is all completely natural and is all part of the creative process. Take out your novelty and routine worksheet, read through, and resume when finished. Routine is often considered the opposite of creativity, but in reality, creativity requires both novelty and routine. The most basic definition of creativity is defined as bringing something original into the world that has utility. We usually think of creativity as the process of generating new ideas. Novelty is important, but it is also essential to turn those new ideas into standard habits and routines that can be put into practical use. So what are the values of routines? Behavior and actions are grounded in the performance of reliable routines. The most automatic routines and habits we have under unconscious and automatic control, the more time and energy our conscious brain has to devote to being creative. Of course, routines and habits can become outdated and non-functional, and in that respect, we would need to change them. The new ideas and approaches are needed to address new situations and altered conditions. Creative behavioral approaches are only useful to the extent that they modify existing routines, or they replace them and become new routines themselves. An innovative business approach only becomes useful and profitable when it is organizationalized and can be reliably duplicated. Creativity is frequently, if not always, a factor of having multiple routines at your disposal, coupled with the skill to deploy exactly the right routine for the challenge or opportunity. Next, we're going to take a look at the MindRamp Creative Cycle worksheet. You'll see on the left-hand side are the 4 phases into the creative cycle. Within these phases, we have the different stages. Now, when you're finding yourself trying to change a routine or a habit or putting a new routine into place, you want to take a look at where you are in the creative cycle in case you need help getting to that next stage. You can go ahead and make copies of this handout, pull it out when you're trying to make a new habit or idea. Find out what stage you're in, and then that way you can brainstorm on the next stages that are coming about. It's going to take time. It's going to take days, weeks. It may even take months, and you may have many of these MindRamp worksheets. What you want to do is put all the ideas down. Make sure that you're getting all the creativity out, and then go with the plan or the routine, the habit that you feel works best for you. Now I want to close with the creative cycle graphic. You'll be able to see each phase and each stage. As you move through each phase and stage, you will be moving from one phase to the next phase, and you may take a step back and you may take a step forward and then back again. It's okay. What you want to do is make sure that your creative process is always moving forward, and that if you do step back, you know where you are so that you can get back to that next stage. You will use the creative cycle within all the cogwheels as you go throughout your cognitive sculpting process.